So you were working at the Lenore Sugar Estate, and which other sugar estate did they have in that time?
Well, they had ice lot.
I flood.
They had schoonard, and they had wholesale. Now they had wholesale, and they had wheels.
And which was the largest?
Ice lot.
I thought was the largest. And you said Lenore had about 300
Yes.
cane cutters, and I flood had how many more? You
We
think?
can't say, but there's a bigger estate. They got a lot of big gang and you know how.
Okay.
So we can't know how much worker they had.
So you were they. How long is cane grown throughout the year, or there's just a period of time?
A period of time.
Okay.
You got to cut this cane for a period of time. And then when you don't cut out all the cane, you got to stop for so that 2-3 months you stop. Because the other cane will come up. Now you see why you cut will come up. And when the cane come up, you got the sugar.
Okay.
They carry the lava test and you got some percent of sugar. Then I cut them.
Okay. So how many months out of the you used to work the whole year, or they had points in the time? No.
No, when the cane don't cut, you do other work at the estate.
Oh, you do other
weed
work.
grass and the cane and
Okay.
that. So you go dig shovel, you do all kinds of other work.
How many months? Like what months in the year would you typically cut cane?
Well, the big crop you cut over 3-4 months.
3-4 months.
That is big crop. And
Which months were those?
That you start on them, say about July, August, and you go near to catch Christmas, you know.
So that's the hottest months, July, August.
September, October, November, December, you know.
And you used to cut you start 6 in the morning, and what time you just finish about?
Well, it depends on when you get a punt. If you get the punt late, you finish late.
What's the latest you ever finish?
Sometimes night time I catch you. Because you get the punt late, you know, so you get to 5 o'clock and all kind of thing, you know.
Okay.
You know? So you take you late sometime.
So while you were cutting cane, you cut cane in a gang of 5, right?
Partner.
And was it the same people every day that you cut with?
Every day.
And do you remember who the 5 people?
Let me know. Walker one.
Walker.
Yes.
What was his full name? So maybe somebody who might be watching this might know him.
We can't make name no more.
Okay, Walker. Where was he? He's still alive, right?
Yeah, he's still alive.
And where he lives?
He lives in New York now.
He lives in New York. Okay. And where was he from?
Katrina too. See, it's Katrina.
Katrina. Okay. So Walker, and he was one of your closest friends. He still is, right?
Yeah, still
for
alive.
all these years. And when did you start cutting with him? Cutting cane with him?
But they introduced my partner.
So was this before you married or after?
That after we married.
After you married, okay. Walker was one, okay.
And we had 3 other persons there. But you see, the partner they not stick with us too much, man. Only about 3-4 of us stick.
Okay.
Because we too fast with them, you know how.
You and Walker were fast.
Yeah, and when I run 3 of us used to be fast, you know. So when you take them home, they get it, they don't want to work with you, you just have to be too fast with them.
Okay.
You know. So your partner change sometimes every 2-3 weeks, they don't work with you, they get paid. You know.
Okay, so you're working 5-man crews and in the heat. And you said you had to deal with snakes, it was mud, in the rain. And I'm sure people had difficulty cutting. And
yes.
What were some things that you saw while you were cutting?
Well, when you cut cane, you see like a lot of people who cut their foot and all kind of thing, man. Chop their foot when you cut, you slap it, you know how.
Really?
Sometimes some people have fish cane, they fall along, they knock their back and all kind of thing. I can remember one time I have cut cane, and this man and near you know how. But they want to race Abby. To see go down the 5-man first.
Okay.
But they can't have it Abby. And as a sort, me see this bike, fall along in the canal, the trench where the pond there, he fall along inside. And me tell me, Father, say, why the man fall the thing by? And I behind some out and bring up on the dam. And the trailer. I became, he got a trailer switch so if you keep bringing home, you know how. And I became a trailer, and I the trailer, man, dead man.
He died?
Died in the trailer.
Oh, wow.
Died in the trailer. You know?
Was that the first time you seen somebody die?
Like that.
Like that? And while cutting cane?
That's the first part we see died.
Did people die often when they were cutting cane? You saw others?
Well, some of them, most of them died like lightning strike them.
Lightning strike while cutting cane.
Well, they were there and they for shade, I know how.
Okay.
I can't what this cane cutting, but the rain and this 5 bar there under this umbrella with the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And the lightning strike and knock before they kill them one time.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So it's very hard work.
Very hard work. Very hard work, you know how.
Mm-hmm. And yet people still wanted to do that.
But
right?
you're not going to do. You're not going to do other work.
Mm-hmm.
You got to cut cane, you know how.
Most people who cut cane were people who didn't go to school?
Yes, who don't go to school.
Okay.
But remember, you have education, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You got to cut cane, you know how. And your parents never send you to cut cane.
Okay.
Because you get education, you don't get a job. When you get education and you want a job, if you want a teaching work, you got to convert to Christian religion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a job unless you convert to Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Because the school is controlled by church. You know? So you don't get a job, so you got to go cut kid. You don't got nothing to do. So that's why everybody was sending son to cut kid. And even as part of the son, the wife will go they will cut kid to the somebody and the wife will cut kid with them.
Mm-hmm.
My brother used to have the wife used to cut kid with them.
Oh, his wife too?
Mm-hmm.
So before Guyana got its independence,
Mm-hmm.
like when you were growing up in the 30s, 40s, and 50s,
Mm-hmm.
who ran Guyana? Who controlled Guyana?
The British.
The British.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a British government in Guyana?
Yes,
or?
British government.
Okay.
British government.
Made up of people from Britain?
Yes,
From
and pure white people, brother.
Oh, white people.
Pure white people.
Back then in Guyana, the governor was in charge of the whole
Yes,
country.
and he appoint the people like Attorney General, the Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs, the Finance Minister, all are controlled by the white people.
Mm-hmm.
No Indian or black people
Mm-hmm.
can't get them.
So what was the relationship between the Indians and the Africans and Indians and Africans back then?
Yeah.
Were they like kind of living the same lives? I know you said a lot of the black people were working and
well, that before
teaching.
Burnham take over the country.
This was before Burnham.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
black people and Indians all live together, you know.
Black people and Indians live together.
Live together, mean because never black people and Indians live. Never, but when Burnham take over the government, you know,
Mm-hmm.
then the racialness start.
Okay. So before then, black people and Indians had a good relationship?
To a good relationship, man.
Mm-hmm.
Good relationship.
You had a lot of black friends?
To me have black friends, more Indian friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I live and then I play cricket together and I can, you know, black people Indian, you then one club.
Mm-hmm.
Cricket club, you know. You play cricket together, you play hand in hand together. You know. So you had good relationship, and those days, if you got a good black people friend and somebody beat you, black man knock you, the black man pick up for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Because me know that boy, when black man give you a slap that made me young. And the black man come and he have one cough. And he said that me friend, you not touch me.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible knock for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so those days when the thing, you know, they pick up for you, man. But when the racial this thing started and everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
so you were living well with a lot of, had a lot of black friends at the time.
Mm-hmm.
What was the relationship between the Indians and the blacks with the foreigners, the whites that were there?
The white man always control you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They all control you, know.
Mm-hmm.
They always control over you. You can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Did the white people interact with the common people at the time?
No.
No.
They're not there. They got the manager them live in big house, little apartment. They live in big house. And the bachelor overseer the white man, the pure white man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They got one thing they call overseer quarter. If you're bachelor and you're not married, you can't get a house. You're going to live in the overseer quarter. They got room for overseer live there. That's the white man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Pure white man overseer and manager.
Mm-hmm.
And the manager them those days got to wear short pants, khaki short pants, white shirt and cock hat. So when and those days they were riding mule, I go back there.
Ride mule. Okay.
Yeah. So when I go back there, you see the white man, the car cut at the door band, the jacket. You know? So those days been different.
Did you ever see any time that the British and the foreigners mistreat? Did they think little of the
Terrible, man, terrible. They mistreat you, they beat you, all kind of thing, man.
They beat you.
They beat you, all kind of thing. White man beat you, and all kind, you can't do nothing. You know?
Why would somebody get beat? Why would you? What did you see? Why they would hit or?
Well, sometimes just if you argue, they beat you. You know, if you argue who walk on anything, they slap you, they beat you. You know how? The white people, even in the estate, you live in the estate, and if you not go walk, they pull you out like you walk. You got to go to the estate doctor and get paper that you can't walk. And then they're going to give a day, 2 days. But else to that, you can't stay home, you got to go walk. As long as you live in the Logi.
You live in the Logi at the estate?
In the estate.
Okay.
They force you to go walk.
And you didn't live in the estate?
You live in the village.
You live in the village.
So they can't force you, no.
About how many people would you say live in the Logi? The Logi was mainly people who worked at the estate, was allowed to live?
Those are the Indians who come from India.
Okay.
They put in Logi, so the Logi is a 10 by 12. Logi 10 by 12, Logi, the room.
Okay. So, just as people might be listening, what was a Logi?
Logi is a 10 by 12 room, you know, room they got them. They got long, you know, but, and then you got 10, 12 room, and everybody, they got the people in the family, so they got 5, 6 family, 7, 8 family, got live in one room.
By a 10 by 12 room?
10 by 12 room.
And this was this concrete?
No, board. If the board rat nothing, yes, it has said people repair in the Logi, you know how.
Okay.
They will repair nothing for you. But board.
So there's 10 of these rooms, and you said one family would get one room?
One room.
And how many people would typically live in a room?
But sometimes you got your children, them, and you sort of you have 5, 6 children, 7 children, 8 children, and you and your wife, and you got to live in one room. And they got a little kitchen for you to cook.
Okay.
But then, something happened to me at the estate, right? I got kid. And that means don't marry, you know. I beg God every day, I pray and I beg God, and I say, oh God, take me out of kid, got in there. Take me out of kid, got in there.
How old were you about this time?
About, I was 30-something years old. 30-something to 40 years old. Okay. You had children at the time.
You had children. So you were cutting, how long were you cutting cane for?
20-something, I cut cane.
So you cut cane for about 20 years. And
then, one day, I cut cane, I come home, I tell the grandma, I go lay down. And she come and she wake me up. I said, what happened? He said, one day, Land Rover come a road there. They want to see him. I say, who they Land Rover? He said, white man or coolie man. So when I go, I see this white man manager, this coolie man. He is the deputy manager, but I know how. So the manager tell me, he said, can me go to carry me a back dam? You go and make the back dam. The plant here, the people plant the cane and strike. So you have me go give some advice. Because you know how. So I said, Maja, I cut cane, man, because I can't come with the man, that you give me some advice. So when I go, he show me the work at, when I see the work at him, he tell you, I pay the people more money, you know. So he said, all right, you pay me more money.
So they were striking.
Yes, more money.
They came to you to try to help them.
Yeah, the manager.
And you told them that they have to pay more.
He pay more money.
Okay, so you sided on the side of the workers.
The worker, the work, me not side him, you know. And then, when I back home back there, he tell me, I can't go work with at the plant again. He said, manager, me got so much children to mine.
How many children did you have at this time?
Me had all the children with Calba. But most of them I was in school.
Okay.
You know? So then he tell me, he said, can na me ko work man, if the work does suit you can always go back again got it. And me come tell grandmother. The grandmother said, man, if you tell the truth, if you tell you your thing, he said, well, tell me what must do that. He said, me glad you left King Cotton. Number one, you not going to left 5 o'clock to go work. And me not going to cook, get up 3 o'clock a man for cook for you.
She used to get up 3 o'clock in the morning.
For cook for me at 5 o'clock, me going to left for work up again.
Every morning?
Every morning. 7 days a week. And so, I mean, so we go, me go to the party the week. And the amount of money when we work for, we can't work at King Cotton. So we left in the planting.
About how much would that be? 1 day working at the planting?
Planting gig?
Yeah.
Maybe about $40-50 a day, man. We can't make a King Cotton.
How much time would it take you to make $40 cutting cane? How many days would you say?
You're talking about nearly a whole week.
A week. So you were getting 1 week's pay in about a day when you took this new job. And how many people would do this?
Planting? Well, you got nobody planting. You got a lot of people are planting, you know how.
Okay.
But then I work so much more like how me, because me planting, you got to work fast, you know how. You know, because for me, for the time me go, me start to work and I start to give them a thing called champion for the week. If you work for a month, you're going to be a champion worker for the week at the estate. They will give you a prize. And me start to be champion worker for the planting game. Because me fast with planting too, you know how. So me work there.
Before this, did you ever plant anything or so, or used to?
No, me used to plant cane until like if you got cane cutting, when the cane cutting done, then the planting cane go start and they go take your cane cutting, so go take you go, if you have a plant cane, you go plant cane. So me used to go plant cane before that.
Okay. But now you were doing it only. This was your full-time
job.
And what was your day like then? What time did you have to leave house?
Well, 7 o'clock.
7. And what time would you leave work?
Well, when you done the work, you left back there before 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I think. So before that.
So you were leaving later and you're coming home earlier. Okay. And making more money.
Make more money. You know, make more money. So then, in the planting game, the people ask me to represent them.
Okay.
As a representative, you know, they got a union they call MPC, Manpower Civil Association, recognize the sugar industry worker. So they have me represent them, you know, so we take the representative worker represent them in the planting game. We take the representative worker and represent them.
So you were their advocate?
If they got any problem, I think I help them out.
Okay. And you didn't know to read or write?
No, read or write.
And why do you think they chose you?
Well, because they help me represent people, you know how. Apart from that, me used to represent, when me court came, me represent them. They're not, you see, you got a representative, but they said you represent, you sell out them.
Oh.
So you just put the representative, say, can't go with this representative, man, sell out of it. You go there for representative. So me, I go with them, but me not got no representative. Me not, you know, so they give me representative work, but me not want them, you know.
Do you remember what year this was?
That was around, but we can't know, you know. You know. When we get pension in, we can't remember what year we get pension too. You know.
Okay.
But you know, we get pension in 6 years old.
When you were 60. So this would have been in the 90s. But when
you 95, 94, 95.
94, 95, you got pension. So when you left planting, when you left cane cutting and went to planting, you was about 20 years. So probably this was about the 60s or?
Yes, yeah, we were 60.
30. And when you went, because the British was still controlling the estate.
Yes, they still control the estate.
Okay. And then this was before Guyana got their independence.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you remember about that time before Guyana got its independence, and what was the country like? Was there a lot of hostility between the British and the locals?
Well, workers and the overseer and the manager, they always have a problem.
Okay.
You know, but now me not get problem with nobody.
Right.
Me I do me work good, and me a good worker, nobody man not get problem with me. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So the manager give me me go to the plastic here, me work at the plastic here. And then one day I go home, I go drive money at the office. And this manager, the white man, just see me. He said, come. He said, can you know, me take over security boss work at the estate.
Okay.
And you watch my work, you'll watch my work. So he says, manager.
This was the same white man that came
No,
in?
this was another one.
Another one. Okay.
He take over, he another man, you know.
Do you remember his name?
He was Ronnie Ross.
Ronnie Ross. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So me say, manager, me go to watch my work under one condition. He said, what? Me say, me no want 73 work. He said, me no man in the spring afternoon, me no want that. And that the people fight for.
Mm-hmm.
But because me got me rice field and me got me mango, me say, me no want 73. You said, give me a shift for 11 to 7, I kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he give me the other shift.
11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yes, me go up there.
Why you wanted to work that?
Because when we go 7 o'clock, we go to rice field and thing.
Oh, okay.
So you look after rice field, pick me mango, me home mango thing.
Okay.
But if me do 7 to 3 or 7, me no get go rice field.
Okay.
So he do like in a given this morning time work.
Okay.
So me work there. A good time me work there. I came out one time. You see, man, me never refuse manager.
Mm-hmm.
One time I watch my work. Zami me get work at estate too. She was a work bookkeeper work at the estate, make a job for she.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then your second, after that, is your second daughter? Third daughter, right.
And me come out 11 o'clock. Me work 3 to 11, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So me come 11 o'clock at night. And this white man manager at the bridge. So he see me. So he said, come. He said, me got one big work for him. He said, manager, that 11 o'clock at night, you may go home, you know. Me don't check out at the yard, what you go home. He said, what? He said, man, you got some kid, but for bringing for the back down. And I got nobody for go to distract man.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid pot got to come in before 9 o'clock morning because the building are going off. So if the kid are coming and the building going off to start back the building, you can't too much of no start back the building, the factory, you know. So we say, all right. And me got the back down. Me check out the yard and me got the back down the tractor for bringing the kid pot. You have to tell me now work at the estate. And when she come morning time, she said, he got the yard, I tell the yard, and then see father come home. So Zamina, so Zam tell you, see father, so they say, what your father check out 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So Zami start crying.
They think something happened?
Something happened, he said, they killed me daddy at Royal Survey because if me check out 11 o'clock and me not garden or something, man, but this is me got the back down with the manager giving.
So whole night you were working?
Yeah, whole night me work, me don't 11 o'clock and me gone again.
Okay.
That means attitude, me not refuse manager thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they like me at the estate, man.
So when you finished working, what time was that?
11 o'clock at night.
No, when you finish in the morning, what time?
When we had the pond come in,
Mm-hmm.
we meet him before 9 o'clock.
Before 9 o'clock. And you saw Auntie Zaman?
Yeah, yes, she did, she cried.
Uh-huh.
And then but no, before me not see she when me coming because the manager come before me, man come in 8 o'clock morning. And then the manager tells me that don't worry, me said you fire the back down.
Mm.
So then she photographed over the house and said, Daddy got a back down, the manager said,
Okay.
you know?
So they had telephones back then?
Yeah,
but
we had telephone.
You had a telephone at home?
We had telephone at home. Nobody me got the first bag of telephone captain.
Okay.
The time there. So and then me as soon as we come with the port, see me come with the port, the manager tell the chauffeur take car the Carrefour Street with the Land Rover.
Mm-hmm.
The Carrefour carry home street.
Okay.
You know? So me not refuse work, man.
Mm-hmm.
So me do the watchman work. Me watchman there.
Mm-hmm.
And then me they got, when they captain, they got this water pump, right? So the watchman at the water pump, I go for pension. Year end. So we tell the manager, the manager, what man go for pension. And can you put me for work at the captain water pump? You see people water pump or house you go. When you go, you sleep whole night. Mm-hmm. You know how work, you sleep or what man the pump, you lock the gate and you sleep the whole night. So he said, can me go there? Me go for leave in December. So me go there. You know, you go in December, but leave. And me left at that. But me no know this manager go and tell the sergeant and the so that was between he and the sergeant and the manager. That when January meet, the 1st of January can must go work at the water pump. Me no know that. Mm-hmm. Nobody tell me that. So all my go from one part afraid they were rather know me the water pump no card. I go work at the water pump by me say me no know why. And truth me no know. You know. There are no who go work there because me no do too. And the Saturday night I work 11 to 7. I work on doctor house. And the Saturday night, then the sergeant, the corporal come and tell me, yet, he said, come tomorrow Sunday, you don't work tomorrow. But Monday night you go work at the water pump. Monday night you work at the water pump 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. And then we work till me get pension. You know?
About how many years was that?
We work 4 years at water pump.
4 years. So you were older. You were.
Yes.
What time did you get your pension? What age did you get your pension?
60 years.
60 years.
Yeah, 60 years. I work 46 years off in the Guyana estate. 46 years I work at the estate.
46 years.
The longest serving worker at the estate.
Longest serving worker at Lenore Estate.
Lenore Estate. Mm-hmm. The longest serving worker. That when they give me the letter, the recognized letter of me a pension, one man took me down from a black man. And he said that he checked my record, that the letter said he checked my record. And he said he never see on the estate. One man work at Sugar Estate so long and got such a clean record. And a good record, you know. Mm-hmm. He really talk good what me do at the estate, you know. And he give me pension. But when we get pension, they ask me for work back. If I work back, we say, no, we don't go back to estate.
So you stopped working at the Sugar Estate at 60?
Yes. They stop working. When we have me rice here, we start doing rice work.
Okay. All right.
But there are a lot of things happen to man, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
What do you think over the years allowed you to keep your memory? What was it like, allow you to do all these things where you can remember so much?
Well, I will tell what I believe of God.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yeah.
God. What happened to me. Mm-hmm. He saved me from all this disaster. Maybe God saved me. Mm-hmm. I can't only tell you one thing. God saved me from disaster, saved me from death and all kind of things, and bring me this far. Mm-hmm. You know? What time and all this punishment we got through.
So one thing what I want to ask is because you didn't have the opportunity to go to school.
No.
And when you had your first child, why was it important for you to send them to school? Why didn't you have them follow your path?
Me part of one, but my wife part of the second too. Okay. You know. And me wife I want educate, me want educate the children too. Yeah. Now me not got education, me wasn't getting education. And remember I get a girl child.
Yeah.
You know how?
So you think if you had a boy child first, you would have maybe changed that, or you think this was?
No, I would not have changed it. I would have girl the same education.
Yeah.
You know.
So you think because of your wife, she was a big influence too to make them want
Yes,
to.
education,
Right.
because she been educated.
So tell me, I remember you had talked about when you had married. Did she know that you couldn't read or write?
No,
How did she find out you couldn't read or write?
When we got married.
When you done married.